Hello from Tel Aviv. I'm Julie Fisher, Director of Engagement at the Good People Fund. Thank you for joining our live event. I've been privileged to be in Israel over the last 2 weeks with the GPF professional and lay leadership team, including our Executive Director, Naomi Eisenberger, our Board Chair, Larry Paul, and we wish him a refuah shlema, and our board member, Steve Molman. We've been meeting with our amazing Israeli grantees and some prospective new ones as well. We've learned a lot about our successes and about existing and emerging challenges from our good people during our meetings and our site visits. You are our Good People Fund supporters and advocates, so we thought it would be valuable to bring some of this perspective to you through this live event. Allow me to introduce our group gathered here. Naomi Eisenberger, Good People Fund co-founder and executive director. Avraham Hayon, co-founder and CEO of S.A.H.I. Shlomit, Somech-Lehmann, CEO of Al-Baqour. Yael Noy, chair of Road to Recovery. A quick housekeeping note. Your questions are very welcome. We will have a Q&A time later in our hour together. If you type your questions into the Q&A box at any time, we'll do our best to answer as many as possible. And now I want to turn it over to Naomi.
Thank you, Julie. It's been a pleasure to spend the last 2 weeks with you. I told you to be prepared, and it's been amazing. But first of all, to Avraham and to Shlomit and to Yael, thank you, the three of you. I know that you have a lot of things going on in your lives, and some of you came from pretty far away, actually all the way north and pretty far south, and you're in the middle. As Julie remarked, this is our annual time in Israel, and it's always immensely valuable as we visit our grantees and our present ones and prospective new ones. This year is unlike any other year, and I truly did not know what we were going to find. And I think many of you have read in my messages that I was really apprehensive about this trip. And I'm happy to say that getting here and finding a busy airport and being at the hotel and looking at the Mediterranean was pretty calming. And I really thought initially that nothing had changed, or very little had changed. And I have to say that after a few days, I realized how foolish that was. We have set up a culture within the Good People Fund of family. And all of the three people sitting here and dozens of others are really part of our family. We're proud of them, and so we are of our grantees in the United States. And what we're doing, this is what families do. We see each other, we hug each other, and we support each other in good times and in not so good times. And right now, that's kind of where we are. I wanted to very quickly read a text that came to me this morning because I think it really does speak to what we are about and what I think is representative of all of our grantees here in Israel. This is an email that arrived early this morning from one of our grantees, and she said, "Dear Naomi, since you came to visit, I feel I'm shining. Throughout these many months of war, I had only brief moments of synchronization in my life. Our meeting with all that's happening reminded me how things have a reason, how solutions come at the right time, and how good people are important, and how much hope there actually still is." And I didn't plant that. That came, and it sort of left me in a puddle of tears because I couldn't have written anything better, and it really did represent what we hope we've built. this is the first time that I've been here since October 7th. And I've learned, Julie and I have both learned with our visits, with our grantees, that the challenges that they are all facing are multidimensional. They're dealing with personal issues, they're dealing with organizational issues, and they're dealing with the reality of trying to resolve a society that is right now in trauma. And I swore I wouldn't use that word, but it certainly is the word for today. These three grantees, Avraham is a veteran. I met him 10 years ago in a vegan restaurant in New York City. And Shlomit is 4 years. 4 years we have worked together with Shlomit and her wonderful program, working with the Bedouin community. And Yael stepped into the chair of Road to Recovery. She's not the founder, but she stepped into the chair at a time that you never imagined that this would be what we are experiencing. You don't need to hear any more from me. I would really like each of them to just give a brief description who you are and what you do. And Avraham first.
Wow, so first of all, so happy to see you and to be here and that you are here. That's the truth. So I'm Avraham, of course we know for the people. And I'm a CEO and co-founder of S.A.H.I, that is an organization that in regular days we work with youth and youth at risk from the peripheral areas of Israel. And we developed a unique educational way that instead of telling the children that we meet in the street in the night, we came to help you, we tell them we need your help to help others. And the reason we do it is because the giving that they are starting to do is really changing their life by giving them meaning, by giving them the sense of belongingness, and something that's very important also for these days, we will come back to it, I guess, is the feeling of control. Because when a person is starting to give and to help somebody else, he receives meaning to his life. When he's part of S.A.H.I, he feels, I belong to something that do good in the world. And in a way, he really receives control over his life by becoming the strong, by becoming the person that can help. And I guess all the good people that are also watching now know what I'm talking about, because giving is something that really enrich our life and give us a gift.
Thank you, and that's why I love that program. Shlomit?
I'm a social worker. I studied also education, but I'm completely a social worker. And I established Al-Baqour. Al-Baqour organization is working among early childhood, is for early childhood development in the Arab society of the Negev. Al-Baqour is like the Hebrew word of Bikurim. It means the first fruit, the first child, the first rain. And this is the population that we are focusing. It's birth to 3 years old. We are supplying services for the community of the Negev. Maybe I should say a few words about the population. Or
Yeah.
There are 300,000 Bedouin in the Negev. 1/3 of them is living in unrecognized villages, in old barracks, and some of them made of asbest. And what we do is we are operating our project in Tipat Halav, is where almost all the mothers are going there. We are operating libraries with a lot of accessibility to these libraries, books, books to door project. We send books in digital platforms, in WhatsApp groups. We do storytelling in groups. We work with women in the unrecognized villages, and we train this woman. The women who take part in our project later become part of the organization. They work for salaries and they spread the knowledge. And this is how we work, is by spreading knowledge all over. And also we are training women, to, like in storytelling, or soon we will operate a new course in puppet theater, and we will have our own puppet theater. I think about 15,000 women and children got services in our libraries. We have 16 libraries, and there are about 27 libraries in the, 27 Tipat Halav centers for mother and children, and we are operating libraries in 16. One of them is a bilinguistic. It's in Yerucham, who serves the unrecognized village of Rahme, and we want to expand this service in Lod soon, and maybe also in other cities. And bilingual libraries, they have, our mission there is different. It's not only focusing on literacy as the most important criteria for economical, social economical mobilization. It's also to bring population together, to be together, to work together, to spend time together, and to break a little bit the ignorance which leads into, I don't want to say, when you don't know someone,
You're fear.
you're afraid.
You're afraid of them.
There's a lot of fear, but when you meet,
it's
racism.
racism.
In Arabic and in Hebrew, we have mountain to mountain do not meet, but
Yeah.
people to people, they do meet. And
Right.
this is what we are doing.
That's what the entire country should be doing.
Hmm.
Yael?
Wow, so I'm amazed of both of you, and I think what Avraham said, I want to join you, because what we're doing, I think I'm Yael, and I'm the head of the Road to Recovery, and what we're doing daily, we're taking sick Palestinians from the checkpoints to hospital, to treatment in the hospital in Israel. And we're doing a lot of rides every day, but I think the most important thing that we're doing is the meeting, the Israeli and the Palestinian that can never meet here because we're under the fence. So we are meeting every day, like we take something between 17 to 100 people to the hospital and then back. And all the volunteers, we have a lot of volunteers that are doing it with their private cars, and we're inviting them into our car. And we're sitting together, and sometimes even we're sitting in silence. But the time that we're, like Avraham said, when I think it's an opportunity for now, in these days, for the Israeli wounded society to do something good. And when you're going out of your home and driving your car, Palestinian to the hospital, you feel you can breathe, you feel you can stand up and keep on living here.
Yeah. We had some questions that we thought would let our audience know a little bit more about how each of you and your organizations are coping since October 7th. Clearly, long before the war ever started, each of you are working with populations where challenges are so extraordinary, and resources are minimal under the best of circumstances now. Could be worse. How are the communities that you're all with managing right now, post October 7th? Avraham?
Yes, so
Youth.
yeah, the youth, first of all, for us, October 7, like for everybody in the world, was like very, very traumatic, and for us also in a way, we already work in Ofakim and Netivot and Sderot and Sdot Negev and Ashkelon and Be'er Sheva, and like we are already spread in the areas. So in the beginning it was like really to find out very quickly that we had a few alumni that was murdered, we had a few family members of participants that was murdered, like we have 15 years old participant from Sderot that his father is a policeman that was murdered Saturday early morning. So in the beginning that everything was like very, very traumatized in a way that we never even imagined. And very quickly we understood it's something else. It's like it's something that we are not prepared to, and we need to first to deal with that. And also there was a bit of a chaos. That's the truth in the beginning, you know. It's, and I think for us it was to understand that in the same day we already, big part of the organization was recruited, the staff, and we start to understand the needs. The needs was, again, something that we never ever prepared. Like, we started to think, because in S.A.H.I, what we are doing, we are educating the teenagers to be the special chesed unit of the neighborhood and to take care of the invisible people. Those, like, this is our mission. And suddenly we had so much need in people that municipalities that there is still fights there, that they don't really understand how to work with what happened to them. And there is also civilian needs like you know, diapers, basic food for people that got stuck for a few days in the shelters and so. And for us it was like the understanding that I think it was basically to tell the organization there is a chaos and we need to accept it. Sometimes in life chaos comes, you know, it was just the parasha of Bereshit, Vayitohu vavohu.
There was chaos, right?
There is chaos, that's the truth.
And now you have chaos.
Yeah.
Shlomit, how did you?
In a weird way, I should say we were ready. I mean, because of the Corona time, that it was in a way the same. Then we developed platforms that served us from the first day of the war. I mean, we had a group of 16 librarians that went through a course of storytelling, and we had to teach them how to work with the population through Zoom. Maybe I should I will say some things about the population, that first they don't have shelters.
Right.
Second, a lot of times they don't hear the alarm because they are very far away. They suffered injuries, they suffered losses. Kids were killed in a rocket attack. A lot of young people were killed when they rescue people from the kibbutzim, from Ofakim, from Re'im. It took time until their contribution was acknowledged by the Israeli society. This must be said. Now I will go back to the organization. So we were prepared because we had these platforms. So the digital platform started to work much more than it used to. The books that we used to give to we go to the house and give the families the books. We renew it. And we had to face the population. It was so stressful for them, and it's not like in the Jewish community that you have a lot of programs in the
support.
A lot of support. We had to for example, to train all the librarians with psychologists and psychiatric how to deal with the stress of the mothers and of the children. They had to guide the mothers,
Right.
how to answer the children when they say that they are panic, and also to do something with the parents and the children. So all the librarians and the mothers from the unrecognized villages took part in this training. It was like, I had always the feeling, because I'm not part of the professionals, I'm the one who brings the money. So it was like all the time they are doing something. In the evening, Zoom with psychiatrists. During the day, every day someone made a storytelling in Zoom, and we were amazed how many people registered. But it's because we had these WhatsApp groups
Right.
in the libraries.
You were ready.
Also, we did some work in the unrecognized villages. We took equipment to the tents and to the these houses from asbestos. And so we left equipment, but not just like this. It's not food. And we left a note, and we explained how to play with the child. And we left a barcode, and everyone who wanted to get guiding, how to work with the child. We had a Zoom, and people registered it, and we had puppet theater in Zoom. Puppet theater was great. I will finish with it. Puppet theater, because then you see the whole family. Puppet theater is something is not really, So there were more than 100 or 150 people, but a whole family sitting and watching
the puppets.
Watching the puppet in Zoom.
Right.
Okay.
Wow.
So this is the main thing that
Yes. Yael, I think for Road to Recovery, I think there were significant, truly significant.
In my beginning days in the Road to Recovery, I was the coordinator of Gaza Strip. So I have a lot of friends in Gaza, and my heart was there. And I think and my parents live in kibbutz right near the Gaza Strip. They were in the safe room all day, and we were driving crazy, looking that they are okay. So at the 7th of October, I think I just wanted not to believe. And I think till now, I'm not believing what happened.
Right.
I'm looking okay, but I can't believe it. So, but we didn't stop. At the 8th of October in the morning, we took patient from the West Bank to the hospital because it was a child that needed dialysis, and there was so I don't think we thought. We just did what we need to do, what we know how to do.
This is what we do.
Yeah, this is what we're doing. So, and what else? I think from the 7th of October, we shut off all the WhatsApp groups because we didn't know what's with our volunteers. We had a lot of volunteers that lived there in the kibbutzim, and we didn't know yet who is alive, who is not, what's going on. So we cannot write anything in the group. We make them silence, and we made a new group just for the wartime, and we ask all the volunteers that want us to put them in, that can drive, that can join us now. So this was one group, and we just try to breathe and to keep on. And then in the first or the 2 week, we just start to know that 5 of our volunteers was murdered. 2 of them are still in Gaza, hostages. A lot of our volunteers lose their family members, their sons, their wife, their husband. I think it was the time I never been in so many funerals, and it was a terrible time for all of us. But I think 5 times a day I think, okay, so we should stop, and then I talked to myself and said, no, we're keeping on. We cannot stop now. This is our time. We're not stopping. Yeah. And that's what we're doing. Yeah. So we keep on doing what we know to do and what we need to do to build and to make the hope every day again and again.
You can't give up hope.
No.
Hope is the most important.
Yeah.
And I think that was something I learned from you, particularly from you. Our audience, some of you may recognize Yael. She's been on a lot of international news, Christiane Amanpour and NBC and many others. I think for the world, what Road to Recovery represents is hope, and it's very hard to give up on hope.
And I think everyone wants to ask, what about Gaza now? Because I have a lot of friends in Gaza, and I keep on talking with them even now. But I think we can just be the witness for what's going on there, because we cannot help them. We cannot really help them now, but we can hear them and pray with them, and just being together with them, it's very, very important
It
now.
is. All of you, obviously, since we've been working with each of you, I know that there's a fire in your soul, and that drives you to do this, particularly now. What is that fire? I certainly have heard it from, I heard it from each one of you on our first interviews. What's the fire, Avraham?
I think first it's like, when you do something right, you feel it in your guts, and it's like, for us, we really believe it's like an iron dome, the chesed, the giving, the doing good. It's like an iron dome that protects the nation and Israel in a way it's like a spiritual iron dome. There is the physical iron dome, that's very simple what you do, but there is the physical, when we are doing what we are supposed to be doing, tikkun olam, and to do grace and chesed and charity, and like good things, chesed, and for us it's like it's the resilience of the people, because on the S.A.H.I flag we have two things major, it's like unity and giving. And when people are joining together to do something good to somebody else, so it's really unite them. It's like the secular and the religious, the right wing and the left wing, Ethiopian and Moroccan, and it's like, and everybody become one, and so it's like building it in the physical method, but it's also a spiritual thing that really protects us. And I think in these days, so for us it was like the organization, we felt like, okay, we were training 14 years for this. Like in 1 second we started to send support and to make food for soldiers, and to do laundry to evacuated people, and to clean shelters in the north, and like everybody was like, okay, we were trained to that. And today for me is like something that last week, for example, we have one of our alumni, I know him since he was 14, he is now in Golani, he was hurt in Gaza, and I came to visit him, and the truth is I was really emotional, like it's a child, and I knew that he lost his leg, and I came to meet him in Tel HaShomer, and I went out so strong, like because he told me, hey, I'm okay, thanks God, it's only under the knee, so I will be walking and I will be running, and I will, and at the moment that I can live here, he told me, I promise you, you will find me addresses in S.A.H.I for people that need help, that I can go on the wheelchair, and I'm going to come. And this week, last Monday, we did it. He came to the activity on the wheelchair. He's 20 and a half years old, amazing guy. And he came speaking to 40 teenagers that soon going to the army, and telling them, guys, there is time to fight, and there is time to fight on the chesed, and what you are doing is so important. So I think my fire is coming from the field,
Yes.
From the real thing.
It's what's driving you. Shlomit?
I want to say
Yeah,
something.
go ahead.
Because
Go ahead.
one of our volunteers, I'm very, very touched now. One of our volunteers, he was before Yom Kippur War. There was a lot of war before the war, and he lost his leg. And he's one of our volunteers, very nice guy. And he took for years one kid, he was a kid, now he's like 20 more, child that lose his leg because of the cancer, and he was like his mentor. So every time Hamza needs to go, so Hagai came and take him, and they got very good friends. Now the child, the Palestinian child, is very, very sick. He's like now in the hospice. He's really breathing his last breath. And Hagai told me, and 2 days ago he called me and said, Yael, I'm in Shiba Tel Shomana because I come to see the new soldier that come from Gaza that lose their legs, and I'm coming to visit them and to tell them, where is Hamza? Is he still? I will go to see him and to visit him also. So, you know, everything is so connected, and you know, those people that it's amazing to hear, and a lot of courage you can get from this.
Tremendous courage, yes.
Thank you.
Shlomit?
I think the root of my activity, social, is my parents. At first, I will get to the story that I told you. And my parents were kind of a welfare department, a private welfare. They came to Israel in the 50s, so they had everyone who came after them with all the relationship and things to do with ministry. And also in private things, like a couple don't manage, so they talk to the husband. It was like really to live in a welfare department. I noticed this only years ago. My first social activity was when I was 8 in school. I organized the birthday for the poor children. This was the first thing. I was 8. And within the years, and this is the story that you know, I have a son with special needs. And always I had the feeling that I have to beg that he will be accepted to the kindergarten and to school and in the society, and always I had to fight that he will get what he needs and that he will mix into the regular, I don't know how to call it, because sometimes I feel he's more normal than everyone, but I had to fight for him. And then I got a job in a rehabilitation center with Bedouin parents, and when I looked at them, I sympathized so much. You don't know what to do. It was a rehabilitation center for deaf children. Something just fell on your head, and you have no idea. You're in the big desert without maps. And when I looked at them, I saw myself, and I was a social worker. I was supposed to know, you know, but I didn't know. And I think since then started my roman, or I don't know how to call it, my affair with the Bedouin community. I enjoy it a lot, and I work in this area for more than 15 years in operating services.
Yael, where's the fire coming from?
I don't know. I think this is my tikkun olam. I don't know. It's, you know, when you know this is your mission, you should do it. And you cannot ask questions, and you just need to do it. And I think when my kids just grew up a bit, and I was not needed at home because they were with me at home a lot of years, and I heard about, one day I saw, I think, one article in the TV or something about this organization, the Road to Recovery, and I knew this is what I need to do. And I started driving, and then I was the Gaza Strip coordinator, and I think, you know, the Palestinians, I think they are in Gaza, but now Gaza we cannot help them, but in the West Bank is the most poor people in the area. So they really need our help, because we don't see them. We just see them when we're soldiers or if we're settlers that live there. So I think we should give them a hand, and they know we see them, and we try to help as much as we can.
I know from all of the work that we've done that for all of you, there are clearly days that are horrific, and you probably scratch your head and say, why am I doing this? And each of you, what one beautiful thing did you see in your work since October 7th? Something that maybe you already answered this, Avraham, with your Ethiopian soldier, but what was there one thing that just hit you and said, this is why I do this? This is why I do this. Was there any one incident?
Actually, there is many.
There are many.
There is
Yeah.
many. It's happening all the time. And I think for us, like, when it all started, so we had many people recruited. And so a natural thing would be for the organization to shrink. And we said, no, we are a special chesed unit, and we are a creative special chesed unit, and what we are going to do is to expand. And we understood that there is a national challenge, and that's the evacuated children. Those who've been traumatized and then become refugees, and they are now spread in Eilat, in all the hotels all over Israel. And this is the future of Israel, and we decided that since we know that S.A.H.I model, that, like I said before, bring you meaning and belongingness and control on your life, that can really be the cure for them that started to create rescue behaviors from their really understandable trauma. For example, like Nir Oz kibbutz, the kibbutz. So it's like the quarter of the kibbutz was kidnapped or murdered. The teenagers are now in one day become refugees in Eilat, and we said, okay, we are going to offer them to become a special chesed unit. We want to open a branch of S.A.H.I there. And this is what we did. We did that in another 11 different places. So like we expanded like we are doing in 2.5 years maybe in the last 4 months.
Wow.
But for example, in Nir Oz, we started that with the teenagers, and they started to support needed families in Eilat and become givers again. Suddenly became heroes. And for us, like one of the moments that you're speaking on is like for me when there was the deal and there was the hostages that came back. So we had teenagers that came back from Gaza, and 5 days afterwards they already joined us to S.A.H.I activity in Eilat, and one of them, 16 years old, that was 50 days in a tunnel in Gaza, he said, I can't believe that 5 days ago I was a hostage, and now I'm doing good and helping people in Eilat, and this is what I want to do. So this is moments that you're saying, okay, this is what I need to do, there is no question.
And that child will be okay.
Yeah, Bezrat Hashem.
He will be okay. Yeah. I think, one of the things that Julie and I have been hearing through this entire 2 weeks is when we meet soldiers who are coming out of service. And they have lots of interesting ways of saying it, but one in particular that got me was he was on his way to Sri Lanka to wash his brain. And you're providing that young man who spent 50 days in a tunnel it's immense. It's immense, and it will help. I mean, while this was all happening, we were all saying, how do you come out of this in one piece? You've proven your whole thesis for why S.A.H.I exists. Shlomit, anything?
Yeah, when you ask this question, what I saw in front of my eyes is the eyes of the children in the Zoom. How they are shining, and most of the children between the ages of birth to 3 years old, they don't visit kindergarten, or they don't have services for early childhood. They are like all day long at home. At this time of tense, for the mothers, it's even more difficult. But then at this hour, and every day we had Zoom. Every day we had at least one Zoom with storytelling or puppet theater. And then you see these little children, brothers and sisters, and you see it, on the
In the
computer.
box.
Yeah, and the eyes are like shining to hear the story that we are telling. That was one thing. The other thing was the staff. Amazing. I mean, our staff is, we have on one hand, we have a librarian who lost her brother he was serving in the Israeli army. And then two weeks ago, another members of the staff, she lost someone from her family in Gaza because it's a young woman at the age of 35. She couldn't get her dialysis because she couldn't get to the hospital. So it's like, how do you manage with all this pain coming from all over? And here's a soldier, and this is a woman in Gaza, and we are still working together, and we are all dedicated to the children, to the benefit, to the development, and to the mothers who actually don't have something. It's only us, I think, who's doing these things.
Right.
I mean, it's not only that we bring something. We are there. If it's in Zoom or face to face, we did a lot of work also face to face, like meeting mothers and talking to them about how to deal in this time with the children, with their own stress, and with the children's stress. It's the staff and the children and the mothers.
Right. Yael, I'm sure you see lots of things, but one.
I think the new volunteer that's stepping in now and tell me, now we have a solution. Now we found something that we can do now.
Right.
So I have something like 45 new volunteers that step in after the 7th of October. And also I think sometimes the letter that I get from Gaza, from our coordinator in Gaza with the short movies, that the activities that he's doing there in Rafah with the child there, trying to make them happy, and he's cooking outside food and giving food for the child, and so those he try to find normal life in the big chaos there, in the big. It's really terrible, and when he sent me those little movies, so I think
I'm sure.
Something.
I'm sure. Truly, I think I could sit and talk all night, but
This was really,
I hope that our audience has, in the States and wherever else they are, have learned a little bit.
absolutely. This has really been an incredible conversation, and it's not over yet. During the conversation, we've received some questions from our participants in the United States and Israel and around the world. So thank you to everyone who has submitted a question. We're going to take them one at a time and answer as many as we can in the time that we have remaining. The first question is coming in for us, Naomi. And it is, you mentioned that you've been visiting with grantees in Israel for the past 2 weeks. What is your main takeaway and lesson from what they are saying? And how will this inform the Good People Fund going forward? And I'll just say I have been so inspired by all of the grantees, not only the amazing ones sitting here on the couch with us, but a couple dozen that we've met with throughout the country. And while we can't solve so many of the challenges that are going on, it's nice to see the resiliency, and it's nice to be able to just offer our support and love and comfort and solidarity with all of our grantees. And I hope that helps a little bit. Naomi, I'm going to punt the question over to you.
I think what Julie mentions is certainly, that's the positive. And I feel like everyone that we have visited has been incredibly grateful that we're here. And I think for anybody who is thinking about coming to Israel, you should do it. And it should be more than a 5-day mission. because it's an enormous antidote to what is happening here. But I think, excuse me, on a very practical level, if I've taken anything away with me, I have great concerns about the economics of our grantees and all amutot here, other than the very large ones. An enormous amount of money has come into this country through the generosity of Jews around and non-Jews around the world. And we've certainly heard from many of our grantees the concerns about what's going to happen when that one-time grant is done. What's going to happen to next year's budgets? You know, our programs are all small. You're small. It's a little unsteady, and it doesn't take a lot to push over the edge. And I think that within the whole world of Jewish philanthropy, I sense that there, at least from our perspective, that there's going to be a rough time ahead. And there will be donor fatigue. There is donor fatigue now. And I'm concerned.
That is a nice segue into one of our questions coming in, which is for our grantees, how have you received more or less funding since October 7th?
Yeah, so for us, directly after the October 7th, we had amazing support. First of all, it was, like Naomi said, the Jews around the world and non-Jews, but for us, mostly the Jews was like, first they gave us funds and they called us. You know, it's like the dream of a CEO of an organization, of an NGO, that always is part of the work, like to make sure you have enough funds to bring your dreams come true, you need partners. And for us it was like, in a way, that's the dream. Everybody like called, email, asked, how can we help? Like, what are you going to do? What are we going to do? We felt like one, and like all the donors, all the supports. And in the beginning, there was an easy time for fundraising because everybody said, okay, what's the project? Let's do it. And like October 8th in the morning, I received phone calls from foundations. They told me, what is the plan? And I told them I must send trucks of support to municipalities. And I said, okay, how much do you need? Let's do it. But looking ahead, like Naomi said, that's a really challenge, because also for us, for example, we really, like, I didn't thought, okay, now I'm going to open 10 new groups, 11 new groups of evacuated. Teenagers that was evacuated now needs me. I know that I can help them. I don't think about where the money will come next year. You know, they need me now. So what will be happening with all the growth and the need, it's going to be very challenging, and we hope that everybody will be united and help us do it. All of us, all the good of.
Yeah.
Good. Question for Yael. How has it changed the way you transport patients from the West Bank since October 7th?
It doesn't change. We take them from the Israeli side of the checkpoint. We have less checkpoints now because of the lockdown of all the West Bank is in lockdown. So the checkpoint of the workers are closed since the 7th of October, but we take them from the other checkpoints, and they're coming through and they get the humanitarian permits, and also no problem. So in the first 2 weeks there were less patients because the hospitals were full, you know, because of war, but now we're getting to the same numbers.
Thank you. Question coming in. Many of the grantees are willing and actively trying to reach across racial, religious, political, and other barriers in all of the work that the three of you do. On a larger, a wider level, how could this be expanded to include a larger part of society? Throw it out there. See. First, you have to understand the question.
A lot of English words.
Too many.
Too many English words.
You're all working to bring society together in different ways.
Yeah.
in
How do you bring
incredible
everybody
work.
else along with
Yeah.
you?
Do you have some ideas of how that could spread wider through society based on the incredible work that you're doing on a micro level? What
Right.
do you think we could take, or you could spread, or society could take those ideas on a larger level?
First we succeed here, then
Very hard. You
Yeah.
know, it took us a long time to convince that in the Negev, to convince that early childhood is a very important time at a child life, and then suddenly it came. Wow, I mean, not only because of us, there are also other organizations. We must respect other things that are being done. And I told you now today before, when we met, that suddenly we get people from Lod, I mean, organization from Lod, from the Ministry of Health, from Taipei, from other cities start to hear about us. But I must say something, you have to adjust everything that you do to the culture that of the people that you are working in.
Right.
Otherwise, you will not succeed.
Right.
I mean, there is enormous, for example, enormous difference between Rat and an unrecognized village. In Rat itself, you have neighborhoods with very well-educated people and illiterated people. So you have to adjust yourself, and I think this is the most important thing, is to learn the culture of the people that you are working with and to work with the people. This is what we do. We work with the people. They become part of the organization, and not only for a short while. It's not that they come or they make some workshop and then they go back to, no, we keep them and we recruit other ones. And this way we expand our work.
Did you want to take a crack at it?
For us, it's fun because in a way, we have thousands of people in S.A.H.I involved. It's growing. When I met Naomi in the vegan restaurant there, we were like tiny, and it's keep growing all the time. And we all the time tell the teenagers, we tell them we are a special chesed unit, and to be, we call it a chesed fighter, it's 24/7. Yeah, you need to repair the world 24/7. There's always something good that you can do. You need to open your eyes.
wow.
And in the first week of October, after October 7, all the participants, the people told us, hey, what's going on? Like, it seems like all the Jewish world becomes S.A.H.I. Because everybody is just trying to, where can I help? What can I do? Like, then they were like, hey, everybody becomes S.A.H.I. Like, we won. It's happening. And I think, but this is the taste of, because like when you really in a situation that you're on your back to, like, okay, that you say nothing else can help me. This is times that sometimes we pray to God when there is situations, like each one in his way. There is situations like what's happened to us in the beginning of the war. Like everybody was involved in finding ceramics or food or supporting, like everybody. There wasn't any person that wasn't looking, how can I volunteer and do good?
Right.
And I think the taste of it maybe will stay with the people to understand that, okay, maybe in the real life, if you're not involved in an NGO that do it, you can do it 24/7, like lucky all the good people that you're meeting all the time. We are lucky to be doing it all the time, even though it's hard. But the taste of it will stay to remember, okay, at least I should try increase it a bit more. And I'll just say that for us, one of the visions, the big visions, is first to be everywhere in Israel, because it's a win-win model that really works, but also to spread it to the world. That's the big vision,
Yes.
that one day we can export it to the world, the model of S.A.H.I, and put a small stamp saying, made in Israel.
Whoa.
And we believe that this will be also the best way maybe to fight anti-Semitic and other things, by showing the world as much as we all can the good that come out from it.
Right.
And that's the big dream.
Wow.
Now we
Well.
should put the song of Nurit Galron, כולנו זקוקים לחסד.
We all need
Now
Yeah.
we all
charity.
need
This,
Yeah.
that's a theme that I certainly have heard with all of our grantees. When I say, "How are you doing?" and they say, "I'm doing," and that's what's saving me. And when I hear you say what you just said, I'm thinking to myself, it didn't take me more than 3 minutes sitting across from him in a restaurant to know, even though it was a vegan restaurant, it was like I knew this was a program that we were going to take quickly.
You know what? It's like Tzipperlex.
It's like
No,
what?
I really mean it. It's like Tzipperlex. I mean, one can take Tzipperlex because it's really a time of it's very depressive, very depressive. One can take Tzipperlex, one can do something. I mean,
Right,
Yeah.
you can do something.
you can do something.
Absolutely.
And when you do, first, you are busy, and second, you work with people, you do something good, you make children happy, you make them more educated now.
Yes. It's truly, it's a blessing. It truly is a
Spread
blessing
knowledge.
that you are all able to do this.
You're very privileged.
It is a
privilege.
privilege.
Very
Absolutely.
It's absolutely a privilege.
Yeah. Sometimes I say I should pay them, not them.
I don't want to be the bad guy,
Yes,
because I
go
want to
ahead.
keep talking. You three are so inspiring. But our time is up, and we could easily keep going for hours.
Right.
One of the most powerful truths that Naomi and Larry and Steve and I are taking away from this time in Israel is that challenge is generating an enormous amount of fortitude and creativity and doubling down on mission by our Israeli grantees to meet existing and emerging needs. To our supporters on the Zoom tonight, our hope is that this conversation leaves you with the same takeaway, with the knowledge that your past, present, and future support makes this work possible and the impact real and tangible. We want to thank everyone here at BDSK in Tel Aviv.
You
and
mean this is not our office?
This is not our office, but it's a beautiful one. We want to thank Gideon, our friend Gideon Ben-Ami, who arranged this space for us. And Avraham, Yael, and Shlomit, you are representative of all of our good people in Israel. You are the faces of hope. Your organizations are not only maintaining civil society, but growing it deeper and wider. So we want to thank you for sharing your visionary work with us. I want to also give a shout out to our USA support team, Andrea, Glenn, and Boris behind the scenes, making this possible. And we want to thank everyone for your partnership and for joining us today. Thank you very much.
Thank you all.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you for
Thank
the
you.
opportunity.